Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguy.cgi.com, and today I want to show you a tutorial dealing with a female walk cycle. And what I think is particularly cool about this tutorial that I'm looking forward to showing you guys is I am going to show you how to do soft bodies, and I am going to show you how to have the hair react as this character mesh goes through the walk cycle. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, and before we even get into this, let me explain to you what I mean when I say soft bodies. Soft bodies are basically, it deals with fat or loose substances on the body. So basically, the kind of style I tend to like is a cartoony style, but even dealing with a cartoony style, you have things like a woman's chest, the guy's stomachs, maybe the cheeks on a character that has a lot of weight on their face. And basically when that character moves, if the character moves a certain way, it definitely adds to the animation to have that fatty area, what we call a soft body, move. So what I'm going to show you is just how to get this mesh here to respond with soft bodies as we go through the walk cycle. Okay, so I said as we go through the walk cycle. Actually, I guess what I should say is we're going to do the walk cycle, and then once we get the walk cycle done, then we're going to apply the physics to for the soft body physics, and then we're going to apply the claw physics for the hair so that the hair responds as the character walks also. See how my screen is set up here? I didn't set the screen up like this. When you come into Blender, you come into Blender's default mode, which is this. If you go right here and click here and go to animation, it'll bring you to the screen with this setup where it has the dope sheet set up for you, the graph editor setup. Just makes it very easy for you to animate. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit 3 on your number keypad, and then 5 to go into orthographic view. If you look right here, you can see we're in right orthographic view. Then I'm going to hold shift and my middle mouse button, just pan this over just a little. Okay, we're going to, as you go through this animation, the main thing you need to think about is just 5 poses. We have 3 main blocking poses, and actually really even 2 blocking poses, and then 3 breakdown poses. So the first thing we need to do is get these first breakdown poses in. So that's what we're going to do now. And as you go through your animations, that's how I would recommend you go through them, is just think about the main things you have to do. Our main blocking poses are going to be on frame 1, frame 20, and frame 40. So we're on frame 1 here. So our first blocking pose, we're going to go here. We're just going to push this leg forward. We're going to grab this leg, just push it back. And then pretty much all we're doing for this main pose is hitting R to rotate on the X-axis to point the toes up a little bit. Take the second bone right here, R to rotate on the X-axis to point the point the pose down on this one. We'll pop this leg up a little bit, just like that. So we have our legs, just that quick, already set up for our first blocking pose for pose 1. We'll just go here. We'll select these bones. I held middle mouse to turn. I'm holding shift and middle mouse button to pan now. Just roll the mouse button in to zoom in, and I'm going to select this bone right here. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the Y-axis just to get this bone down. Select this bone right here. R to rotate on the Y-axis to get this one down. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. This leg is going forward, so we're going to want this arm to go back. So I'm just going to grab this bone right here. Sometimes if you have a hard time grabbing the bone, it helps to just rotate. So I'm just holding the mouse and rotating to the side. So I'm going to grab this bone. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis. I'm going to take this bone back. That bone back to have that arm just go back slightly. Maybe I'll hit R to rotate on the X-axis a little bit more. I'll select this bone. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis and bring that in a little bit. I'm just going to hold the mouse button, turn to the other side, take this bone, this leg's going back, so we want this arm to be going forward. I'm going to hold the mouse and rotate just so I can have an easier time to selecting that bone. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis, bring that arm forward some, just rotating the screen with the middle mouse button again. I'll put a slight bend in here by hitting R to rotate on the X-axis. I'm holding the middle mouse button to turn again, and we've got our blocking pose almost in. We need to have some rotation. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this bone right here. We're going to hit R to rotate on the Z axis. Just have it rotate just like this. Grab this right here. I'm going to turn the hair off temporarily. It's not distracting. So yeah, we have the waist turning right there. And yeah, we just want a slight turn in the waist like we have. So yeah, that's pretty much the first pose for a regular walk cycle for the block. Now because this is a female, there's a few things we can do to make this have a more feminine walk. So what we'll do is we'll actually grab this bone, we'll hit R to rotate on the Y-axis and bring this in a little bit. So it's actually going behind her a little bit. We'll take this arm, we'll hit R to rotate on the Y-axis and bring this in a little, actually this one we'll leave out there. And one of the things that as a female walks, their hip structure is different from a man. So as their legs come to touch down, their hip kind of juts out to the side. So one of the things we can do to show that hip coming out to the side a little bit is by grabbing this bone, we hit R to rotate on the Z-axis. We can just give a slight turn to make the hip pop out a little bit more. Then one other thing we're going to do is we're going to hold our middle mouse button, turn to the side. We're going to grab this root bone here. That's it's a foot bone here that we're using to connect it, to control the leg, and we're going to go hit 1 to go back into orthographic. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this foot up right with this root bone here. So we're actually going to push this in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side again. I'm going to grab this the bone right here and hit 1 again. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. And just you can see how this foot is right to the side. We actually want to drag this right behind that foot right there. Okay, now that we have this first blocking pose, what we can do is I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button, drag this down, pan it down a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to hit A to select all of our bones. You're going to hit I. All right, this brings up your insert keyframe menu, and you're going to hit location, rotation. And then all this stuff that pops up here is all of your keyframes for all of your individual bones. So this is one of the things I love about Blender. I told you we needed basically 5 poses, I guess 6 if you count the extra start pose we're going to have to reverse. But anyway, we have this pose right here. So I said we need 3 blocking poses, right? So we have our 1 pose in here, and now we have our keyframes in here, right? Now what we're going to do, just to get those other 2 blocking poses, most of our work's already done. Take your mouse and hold it over the timeline here. You're going to hold shift and push up on the arrow key. You're going to go 1, 2. This will take you out to frame, actually want it to be 20, 20. So you hold shift and hit up on the arrow key. It just advances you 10 frames forward. But now with this, these bones still selected, I'm going to put my mouse here. I'm going to hold the mouse button and drag over to the left. This button right here is the copy bone placement button, I guess. What does it say? Blender does pretty good. Copies the current pose of selected bones to copy paste buffer. Okay, so you hit this, copies all your bones, right? Now this is cool. These bones are on frame 1, right? So what we're going to do is go to this button right there. This button right here will paste the opposite pose of the pose that you currently see here, which is awesome because it just speeds everything up. It cuts your work in half. So I'm just going to click this, and you should see. Pay attention. This leg is out front. This one's back. Watch what happens. Boom. This leg's out front. That leg's out back. And now we have our second blocking pose in. So because we have that in, you can see now I pasted the pose in reverse, right? But if you look here, I'm just rolling with my middle mouse button in. Now I'm holding the middle mouse button to pan. There's no keyframes. This green line is our timeline indicator. There's no keyframes. That's because we have to put the keyframes in for this pose. So we pasted the pose in, right? The opposite pose we pasted in, but we don't have keyframes in yet. So very simply, we hit I, and then we just hit location rotation, and now you can see there's all our keyframes for that opposite pose. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our mouse, put it over the timeline again. We're going to hold shift and hit up twice, and now we're on frame 40. And for this, what we're going to do is we're going to select right here. This is frame 1, what you're seeing here. And this is all the bones, keyframes for all the bones. But if you select this top symbol right here, we select all of these keyframes, right? So what you're going to do is hit Shift D. That duplicates your keyframes. Then you're going to move this over. And you're going to put these keyframes right in the center of this timeline indicator, which is frame 40. And because we duplicated those keyframes, now we have the frames from frame 1 all the way over to frame 40. So now when we take we hold the press on your mouse, hold the right mouse button down, and you can drag over your keyframes. So now you can see we have a basic walk going on here, right? And these are our block down poses, because typically, basically when you're doing an animation, you're going to do what's called your blocking in. That's what we just did. And then you do your breakdown. And your breakdown is when you put additional poses in that makes the walk smoother. So let's look at that from the side. Again, I'm just holding the mouse. Right mouse button, you can see we have a basic, walk going on there. Okay, and as we go through this, we're going to do everything by fives just to make it easy. So we have frame 1. We're going to go from frame 1 to frame 5. You can see right here we're on frame 5. As a matter of fact, we'll take that. This is our start keyframe and this is our end keyframe. We're going to click here and we're going to change this to actually we'll change this to 39. We'll change that to 39, and now we're on frame 5. So frame 5 is going to be the first one of our breakdown poses, and because we're doing everything in fives, in a linear way, the next frame is going to be frame 10, then frame 15. That comes into frame 20, which we already have set, and then right here is going to be just these frames that we're going to do right now, opposite. So really, all we have is 3 frames of work to do here. So let's set up frame 5. Okay, on frame 5, what you're going to want to do is you are going to first grab your hip bone. Excuse me. You're going to push down a little bit. Your character is really catching her own weight on this this first leg. You're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis, so you're going to flatten that foot out. You're going to grab this leg, just pull it back some. You're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis, so this bone is pointing the foot down. Like this foot's just about to pass through here, and that should be good for that. We're going to hit A to select all the bones, hit I to open up the insert keyframe menu, and then just select location rotation. So now we have them in on those keyframes in on frame 5. Okay, and with that keyframe pose set, what you can do now is you can go to right here. You're going to click here to copy this pose. We're going to do very similar to what we did before. I'm going to click here and go to 25. So frame 5 and 25 are connected. All right, so all we're doing is we're at frame 5, we're going to frame 25, we're going to hit paste opposite. So now we have that opposite pose on frame 5. We hit I to insert, get our insert keyframe menu. We're going to select location rotation. So now that's locked in for, so we had that neck, the first breakdown pose was 5, and then we just went to frame 25 and pasted the opposite of that breakdown pose into frame 25. Okay, when we started this, I told you there was going to be 3 breakdown poses. So we had frame 5, and then we pasted the opposite of that just now on the frame 25. So now we're doing things in 5. So now we're going from 5. We're adding 5 to that. So that means we're going to frame 10. So we're just going to select here. And this will take us to frame 10. We also could have just dragged the timeline back to frame 10. But now that we're on frame 10, this is our passing frame. So what we want here is we want to grab this bone right here, push this leg down so it's a little bit straighter. We're going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. We're going to take this leg and pull this leg up some. And we're just going to push this actually so this knee is going past the leg a little bit. This reminds me of like you're forming the letter 4. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the x-axis. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit more. That's how I look at it. I try to get almost that 4 So you want this to have a slight angle going down. You don't want this being up too much. All right, or rotate on the x-axis. There we go. So there we have our frame for frame 10, our breakdown pose. Now we're going to hit A to select everything. We're going to hit I to bring up our insert keyframe menu. We're going to select location rotation. Now we have the keyframes in for that. Okay, and just like we did before, now that we have our keyframe, our breakdown 2 keyframe in that's on frame 10, and we have our bone selected, what we're going to do is go here, copy this pose. That we're then going to go to frame 30. Now we can drag here. I can hold the right mouse button and just drag this to frame 30, or I can just select here and hit frame 30. But now that we're on frame 30, all we're going to do is paste the opposite pose right here. Then we're just going to make sure your mouse is over here, not over the timeline, so your shortcut keys work right. We're going to hit I, and then this brings up our insert keyframe menu. We're going to put location rotation, and now we have our second breakdown pose in, and its opposite pose also in. Okay, and what we're going to do now that we have this pose in here, I told you our breakdown poses were going to be in 5, so we did 5, we did 10, now we have to do 15. So I'm just going to hold my right mouse button. I'm going to drag back down to 15. Now we're on 15. This is going to be our up pose. So what we're going to do with this pose is we're going to make this a little bit straighter here. I'm actually going to drag this leg back just a little bit. I'm going to grab here, and I'm going to raise this up just slightly. I think I'll take the hips barely on the hips, just very slight up on the hips. I'll take this up a little bit higher. Maybe I'll hit R to rotate on the x-axis and point this down some. And then what I'm going to do is hit A to select all the bones, hit I to bring up my insert keyframe menu, and I'm going to insert location rotation, and there's our third breakdown pose on frame 15. Okay, and since we have that frame in on frame 15, now we're going to do just like we did before. We're going to copy this pose. I'm going to click right here and go to frame 35 where our next pose needs to be, and then I'm just going to paste the opposite of frame 15 in here. Then I'm going to hit I to bring up the insert keyframe menu, location rotation scale. Location rotation, just location rotation. I might have been saying that before. I used to do location rotation scale all the time. There's really no reason to put scale in. I can't remember if I said that just now or not. But anyway, it's location rotation. So we'll lock this in. Okay, now with all of our poses in, and of course, the more time you spend on this, the more refinement you can do. Obviously, the better it will look, but this is what we have so far. When I hit play, there's our walk cycle. And you can actually, as this plays, you can hold the middle mouse button on your mouse, and you can rotate and look at this from different angles to see how it, how it looks. So, pretty cool. Of course, you can hide the armature. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our soft bodies and our hair. I think this next part is very cool. I was talking to Panyas Peter, I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, and he said it would be cool to see some different things like a soft body and hair apply to something like this. And since he said that, I was like, alright, let me figure out how to do this, and I figured it out, so that's what I'm going to show you. So pretty cool and fairly easy. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to select our character. Whoops. You go to object mode. Okay, actually we need to be in edit mode. We're going to hit A to deselect. Okay, and what we're going to do is select the area that we're going to apply the soft bodies to. So let me hold shift and the middle mouse button, pan. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Obviously the woman's chest here is the obvious choice to put a soft body on, so you're going to hit C. To bring up your paint select, you can control your paint select by rolling your mouse wheel. You can make it get bigger or smaller, so we're just going to select right here. Okay, and with that area selected, we're just I'm gonna pull this out a little bit just by hovering my mouse over this area. And we're going to go to this triangle looking symbol here. And we're going to create a new vertex group, so you're just going to hit plus. You can see the group here. We're going to double click here. We're going to change this to soft body. Then we're going to change this to 0.900. Then we're going to assign that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to roll our mouse wheel back just so you can see what's going on. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. And we're going to hit Control I. This is going to invert from the selection to the rest of the bodies. We'll hit Control I, and now we can see everything else is selected. We're going to change our weight back to 1 or 100%, and then we're going to click Assign again. So we selected this area, we put it down to 0.900, we hit Assign, and then we inverted the selection and then turn this up. So just so you understand what happened, we assigned twice. Once we assigned the 900 weight to the chest area, and now for the rest of the body we assigned 100% weight to the rest of the body. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into object mode, and we're going to pull our mouse, take our mouse, hold the middle mouse button. I'm just dragging over a little bit more here. We're going to go to this physics button here. We're going to select soft body. And then where it says mass here, we're going to select here. We're going to scroll down, and I'm just rolling the mouse wheel to scroll through here, looking for soft body. There we go, soft body. Again, now you're just going to go to soft body goal. You're going to click here. You're going to go to minimum. You're going to change this to 0.950. You're going to go to stiffness. You're going to take this down to 300. You're going to go to damping. You're going to put in 6. And then for vertex group, you're just going to select right here. And when you're in the search mode, our thing is named soft body that we're looking for. So you're just going to hit S, and it'll show you all the things that pop up with S. So here's soft body. So you'll select here. Okay, now with those settings put in there, we'll hit play. And you can see it's a slight effect, not too dramatic. When I say I figured this out, what I meant was I figured out where to learn from it from. I actually learned from a guy named John Brown on Vimeo. Did a thing about Blender and soft physics that was very useful in learning what I learned here. And it's a slight effect, but it definitely, I think, adds a lot more realism to the character's walk. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the hair. So let me just pause this. Let's zoom into the hair. I'm going to hold shift and pull down with the middle mouse button. I'll zoom into the head. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn. And I'm just going to select here to turn the hair back on. Let me just position that. Whoops, hit Control Z. Grab the hair. I'm going to make sure that I think somehow the origin point got off of the hair, so I'm gonna select object, transform, origin to geometry. Okay, with the hair selected, I'm just gonna let me pull this over a little bit to give us more room. I'm then going to click right here, this little triangle looking symbol. We're going to hit plus here to create a new vertex group. I'm going to make sure our hair is selected, and it is. We double click here. We're going to name this hair. Now what we're going to do is with the hair still selected, we'll click here. We'll go to weight paint mode. You can see the hair is all blue. Basically the way weight painting works in Blender is if you see a red color, it means that you have full weight applied to a mesh. If you see green or yellow, it's kind of applied, and then blue, you have nothing applied pretty much. So when you see blue, we have no weight applied to this hair right here. Okay, now one thing when dealing with weight paint, it seems to be a certain order that makes things easier to get around as far as weight paint, object mode, edit mode. So we were in object mode, we selected the hair, right? We went right from object mode, we clicked here, and we selected weight paint mode. We're now in weight paint mode, so what we're going to do is hit tab. This will take us in edit mode. Alright, now that we're in edit mode, we have the hair fully selected. This thing right here, this slider allows you to select weight to apply. So if we, like when it had the original blue, if I took this all the way down and applied the weight, it would look like that. Now that we have all the hair selected and this weight is, it looks like 1.00 or 1000, really this means 100. So it's going to be full weight applied to the hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to click assign to apply this hair, which is this group that you see right here. We want this to have full weight applied to it, and weight is kind of like weight. You know, like it's hair. So basically what's going on here is we want weight here where the hair is attached. We want the weight to be more. We want there to be pretty much no weight right here because we want this hair to move as she walks. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. But anyway, right here we want 100% weight applied to this. So the hair should be red after we do this. We click assign. So now we go from here, we hit tab. That takes us back into weight paint mode, and this red means we have 100% weight applied to the hair. We don't want that. So now what we're going to do is hit tab to bring up our weight paint tool options. Okay, and basically what we want to do here is, this is fine right now. These are the different options you have as far as for painting hair. We're on draw, which is what we want, so that's fine. This weight right here allows us to set how much weight is applied to this hair. So if I turn this all the way up in paint, it'll just paint red again. We want it halfway. So what we're going to do is the mid length. You can see that green coming in. That's kind of like weight on there, but it's not full weight, and that's what we want down here, because what we want is where the hair is coming out up top, we want it to have more weight, but where the hair is kind of going to like flow like this, we want it to be less weight. So basically we just paint this green color represents this right here, almost a little bit less than half weight applied to it. You just want to go to this bottom here, and the hair is going into my other mesh a little bit, so you can just aim to make sure you get that. And I'm just tilting, holding the middle mouse button just to make sure the inside has it also. Now what I'm going to do is turn the weight all the way down. And I'm actually going to get these edges here blue because I want the hair here to flow more. So I don't want any weight to it. So imagine if there was like miniature weights. You know, there would be, you know, the weight up here, this won't move this much. This will move more, and this will move a whole lot because it's, so to say, it's light because we don't have much weight applied to it. So you're doing, you know, blue, green, pretty much red. Okay, now that we have this hair painted, what we want to do is click here, go into object mode. We're going to go back to our physics mode. We'll put this slider up so we can see what's going on. We're going to go to cloth. Make sure your hair is selected. You're going to select cloth. You're just going to scroll down, and we're going to turn on pinning. You're going to click here and select the vertex group we made for the hair, which is here. This hair has a subdivision surface on it. I'm going to click here and temporarily turn off the subdivision surface just so this makes it easier for you to see what's going on here. Okay, now just pay attention to the hair. Like, it's totally stiff right now. Obviously nothing's playing, so what we're going to do is hit back. And now we're going to play, and you can see here's the hair. See how you can see it moving right there, which is what we want. So now what we're going to do is pause this, take her back in animation where her hair is all the way up. There we go, like that. And now we have to attach the hair to the armature. Okay, to parent the hair to the armature, what we need to do is unhide the armature. So we'll click this eye right here. So there's the armature. I'm going to hold my middle mouse button just to turn to the side a little bit. When I click this armature, this is automatically going to take us into pose mode. Okay, now you can see we went from object mode into pose mode. It's very important that we're in pose mode, because what you want is you want the hair to be parented to this particular bone of the armature, not the entire armature. And by being in pose mode and being selected on just this bone right here, that allows us to, with just left clicking, at least with my blender setup, left clicking the hair, by clicking there, now I can hold shift, because when I left clicked on the hair, it took me back into object mode, right? But Blender is remembering that I was just in object mode with just this particular bone. So I'm going to hold shift and then select that bone, and then what Blender did was Blender has the hair selected. It took me automatically back into pose mode, and it has me set up so I can parent just to this bone. So with that set up, now I can hit Control P, and then I have my set parent to menu, and then I want to select bone. Okay, and now the hair should be parented to this part of the bone on the armature. So now we hit play. I'll roll back so you can see, and now you can see there's our hair animating itself as the mesh walks. Okay, and I'll just turn off or hide the armature for a second so you can see the soft body physics working there, and then the claw physics working there. So pretty cool. So we have our character doing her walk cycle, and then we also have soft body applied and claw physics applied to the hair. So pretty cool. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all you guys out there who like these videos and we share them, thank you very much. I appreciate it. To those of you who are new to this channel, if you like these videos and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.